As America wraps up the roaring 20s, the nation must decide who shall lead into the 1930s. Republicans have been the dominant party of the decade, and the expectation is Republicans shall retain that mantle. Herbert Hoover must pledge to retain the current economic boom of the last couple of years, and may have to get his campaign's hands dirty with anti-Catholic attacks to truly win decisively. Al Smith must retain traditional Democrats opposed to his anti-prohibition and his Catholic faith, while not alienating potential new voters. Hello everybody, welcome back to the video, and today we're playing through the election of 1928. So this is actually going to be an interesting challenge because Hoover won in a massive landslide. Yeah, people don't talk about 1928 because people really focus on the fact that Hoover got his butt kicked by FDR in 32. He did really good in 28. But we're not playing as Hoover. No, we are playing as Al Smith. Al Smith, the Democrat governor of New York. Al Smith is the incumbent governor of New York, a rather large state and a must-win for a Democrat. Most Democrats have sat out this election, not believing victory was in reach. Due to this, Smith was easily nominated at the convention, but has amassed controversy for his wet stance on prohibition. Just as troubling, Al Smith's Catholicism will garner much controversy in the traditionally solid South, a region he cannot afford to lose. This sort of situation leaves no room for error. Smith must attempt to claw back support in the South while ensuring that potential gains made with Catholics are not erased by the economic prosperity under Republicans. This seems like an impossible hurdle to overcome. Okay. Joseph T. Robinson, a Democrat from Arkansas. He's a senator from Arkansas and likely to be picked by the convention as a compromise candidate due to Al Smith's more unorthodox stances. He will certainly help hold the solid Arkansas and may provide assurances to the South that Smith will not be too out of line as a Democrat. Robinson has been known to defend Smith against attacks on his religion from Senator Heflin and is willing to be on the ticket with Smith. The main problem with him on the ticket may be how opposite they are on many stances how opposite Smith and Robinson are on many stances compared to him. But perhaps they can work this to their benefit. Let's see who else we got. Okay, Alben W. Barkley. Alben Barkley is the newcomer senator from Kentucky. While it is unlikely he has enough influence to move the state over into the Democratic column, his newcomer status could perhaps help Smith emphasize his anti-corruption stances, which is important given his past ties to Tammany Hall. The Kentucky delegation is also seriously pushing for his nomination as vice president, and Smith already seems to be having some trouble keeping the Texas delegation in line. So matters should not be made even worse. Barkley is still a Southerner, although Kentucky is not really as Dixie like Robinson's Arkansas is. Okay, Nellie Taylor Ross is a former governor of Wyoming. Her brief but interesting tenure saw her support a wide variety of progressive policies such as government assistance for farmers and laws protecting female workers. Although she supports prohibition, she has been pushed by some delegates as a potential compromise candidate to gain support from the West and the dry regions. Of course, being the first female vice presidential nominee, there are plenty of hurdles, but some unique benefits by selecting her to join Smith's ticket. Given the difficult situation he's already in, perhaps the publicity is a good thing. And prohibition is one of our issues. So this could be a wild card, but at the same time, oh boy. Let's go with her. Let's take a risk. Let's see that map. Yep. That's what we got to work with. Okay, so the issues are Catholics, economics, labor regulation, Irish Germans, and prohibition. Well, these are the things that we need to have in our thing. Yeah, we got a long way to go. Let's take a step back. By the end of last year, it was clear you were running for the nomination essentially unopposed. Leaders such as McAdoo and Underwood have decided to sit this election out. How will you prepare for the convention? 4 years ago, it took us 103 ballots to select a nominee. We should use this outstanding time to mend any divisions in the party over the last few years. Could be a smart move. It's clear we are close to, but not at the 2/3 threshold we need to win the nomination. We will meet with outstanding delegates to ensure my nomination can succeed on the first ballot. I want to use this time to prepare for the general election. Let's take a tour of some of the big cities from Boston to Chicago. I am specifically worried about the South. Let's meet with Southern leaders to ensure they do not bolt against the ticket. Considering we're losing Alabama, honestly, probably going to be our best strategy. So let's go to the South. Most Southern leaders will unenthusiastically back you. There are some grumblings about Texas and Virginia, though. Okay. Oh, look at that. That helped us out. Okay. We still got we got a lot to climb, but yep. One of the biggest examples of the party's current divisions is on prohibition. You have repeatedly called for its repeal, while many Democrats, including Governor Moody of Texas, are strongly in favor of the ban on alcohol. What should the convention do in regards to an official plank on prohibition? I will bring the dry and wet factions together by getting delegates to propose a plank that pledges to let states decide what the best laws are. Our delegates have the authority to influence the convention. Let's do it. We will pass a plank calling for the repeal of prohibition. Fortunately, we need to make sure that the South holds. We will pass a plank ensuring the honest enforcement of the Constitution and leave it at that. Okay. So... Okay, so we can't, if we call for the repeal of prohibition, we will probably lose the South. We're going to go with this one. This isn't going to cut it for Moody. The plank fails to pass by a wide margin, and a plank ensuring the honest enforcement of the Constitution is passed in its place. Okay. That hurt us. Trouble seems to be brewing with the Texas delegation. Both Governor Moody and the Fergusons seem to be opposed to your nomination, largely due to your faith. How will you attempt to bring these two back into the fold, considering the importance of Texas? I think we may be better off talking to the Fergusons. Moody would have done anything he could to keep me from securing the nomination. This is bad. We can figure this all out now at the convention. Let's focus on convincing Moody not to bolt. I believe the Fergusons are a lost cause. We will talk to both parties separately and remind them that we are all still Democrats. Let's focus on Moody. Dan Moody is the incumbent governor, unlike the disgraced Fergusons. This was one key advantage he has, so picking to appease him is probably the best move. Besides, the Fergusons are known to be corrupt. Okay, that helped us out a little bit, but we still are not winning Texas. It is now officially time for your nomination, and your protege, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, will be giving the nomination speech. How exactly should the speech be conducted? Let's use this speech to flex my influence on the party. Roosevelt will sing my praises, but emphasize a Democratic Party that looks towards the future. Roosevelt shall make the speech focused on me, why I am the best candidate. We must let Democrats know why I am the one who can do the job. We should de-emphasize my candidacy personally, instead use the nomination speech to unite Democrats behind my candidacy. Let's have Roosevelt make a big speech about me, because I think that'll maybe help us out a little bit. We need to take big swings. We offer one, cried Mr. Roosevelt, who has the will to win, who will not only deserve success, but commands it. Victory it his habit. The happy warrior, Alfred E. Smith, is printed across the New York Times, and many consider Roosevelt to be a future leader in the party. Okay, we gotta go to New York. We're losing okay, there we go. The deflated dry wing of the party has found themselves an unlikely ally in the form of former Wyoming Governor Nellie Ross, who they have chosen to place on the ticket, perhaps as an act of revenge. What do you have to say about Governor Ross? When she succeeded her husband to become the first female governor, she showed bravery and valor, the exact kind this nation needs. She represents what we need in this party. Unity. Our fractures within the last decade have been deep, but together we will be a formidable force. She will be the first female vice president. On labor and industry, she is a progressive in the vein of Woodrow Wilson. Let's just stay away from Woodrow Wilson, I think. Let's go with unity. Unity is always a good thing. A wet for president and a dry for vice president? This could play out interestingly. Okay. As the convention in Houston wraps up, it is time to begin contemplating for the general election. Where would you like to visit today? Illinois requires some attention. My message with funding in areas such as Chicago. I will not be here if it were not. I would not be here without my time in my state. Alas, I shall spend this time sending overtures to my fellow New Yorkers. The South has shown great opposition to me. I will visit Tennessee. New York, Illinois, Tennessee. Where is the gap the shortest? I mean, it's close, but I think I'm going to go to Illinois. As you're a different type of Democrat than the norm, appealing to different demographics will be of great aid. Okay, we're going to head to Texas. The Republicans in their convention weeks prior nominated Secretary of Commerce Herbert Hoover. How will you focus your attacks on him? His time under Harding showed he is willing to look the other way as thieves roam in the night. We will take the high road. He is a departure from Calvin Coolidge's successful administration. The rumors say that Coolidge had even considered giving Hoover his leave upon his ascension. Secretary Hoover is no Republican. My presumed successor in Albany can testify this. Make no mistake, we will never know what his true beliefs are. I think our best strategy might be to basically Harding is referring to Warren Harding and Teapot Dome. So that could be a good move. But this could be a damaging attack. But I think it would be smarter to make mention of Teapot Dome. The Teapot Dome scandal was a difficult time for many Americans, but Hoover was not implicated. Perhaps framing him as a bystander could resonate with anti-corruption voters. And that didn't really help us. Tariffs are a very topical issue, with Republicans generally supporting tariffs and Democrats in favor of free trade. How will you address tariffs in your campaign? This is not an issue for me to decide. This is a congressional issue. Tariffs represent excesses that we need to bring down. I cannot say I'm in support of our current policy. So long as the economic prosperity continues, I will not pursue a change in tariff policy. Let's say it's a congressional issue. Playing it safe is not necessarily a bad thing, but you will need to do more to win this election. Okay. Let's go to Texas. We might be able to flip that. Your time as governor of New York has been widely lauded by progressives, reformists, women, and anti-corruption advocates alike. What part of your governorship would you like to highlight? I am a progressive through and through. I've taken initiative on labor reforms and have worked since the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory incident to improve workplace conditions. My experience above all shows competency, especially in comparison to my opponent. I am a successful administrator with ideas and results. Prosperity will not continue without efficiency. I will bring this mindset to the national stage and help eliminate excesses while remaining true to the desires of the people. As governor of New York, I pursued a government that would eliminate crime. This cannot be done in our cities without the abolishment of prohibition, and my record reflects this ideal. Progressivism isn't very popular at this point. Let's go with competency. No one can deny your ability as governor. Your stance as a wet in the prohibition debate has earned you much distrust. Will you try to allay the concerns? You will repeal the 18th Amendment. As governor of New York, I have witnessed the institution of prohibition is a rise in crime. We must repeal the law, lest we fall to these so-called mafia bosses. I have no plans to repeal the amendment, but it requires reconfiguration. True prohibition is a slow, gradual process that cannot be rushed. We gain little by speaking on this matter. Let's direct those curious to the platform of our party, where for an honest enforcement of the Constitution, the 18th Amendment has done nothing but centralize power and ignored the rights of states. Let's go with this one. It could strike a moderate tone on the issue. While true, this rhetoric is more appealing to former prohibitionists. Pauline Sabin, once a staunch supporter, has been organizing in New York to discredit groups such as the Women's Christian Temperance Union and is growing in support herself. Okay. I'll go back to Texas. Likewise, your faith has been a weak point of your candidacy, allowing Hoover to be a beneficiary in the South. Do you have anything to say to defend your faith? These attacks are damaging, especially from popular newspapers in Dixie. I will have surrogates write their own editorials convincing the public that my faith is of no problem. Even if these fears are silly, I pledge allegiance to the flag and the Constitution before the Pope. Attacking my faith is unbecoming of any good American. I trust the public to see through this vicious slander. We are one party. My faith is no complication. As I am a Democrat, first and foremost, I will enlist the assistance of those in my party willing to back me to make this clear. Let's go with that one. Cajoling the South using the National Party is a great move, no matter how few and far between those allies in the South seem to be. Okay. The anthemia towards you within the southern wing of the party is not a mystery due to your position on alcohol and your religion, as well as to your opposition of racial and rural issues in 1924. Hoover has exploited that fact for much gain. How do you want to challenge these notions? Nay, I will not put farm over city under my administration. All people of all creeds must be considered, and I will invest greatly into the prosperity of those who feed us. I'm not an underservant to the Pope. My loyalty remains squarely towards our Constitution, this country, and the ideals the Lord has imparted upon us. I have no good opinion one way or another on the racial issue. The numerous attempts to curb crime with alcohol reduction have been a failure, and we should leave this debate to state legislators and governors. I'm not an underservant to the Pope. This has been a damaging attack, and changing the mindset of Protestants will be tough. Perhaps repeating your stance on the issue will convince them. Okay. You've recently rallied in Oklahoma City to the dismay of the crowd, only for that crowd to cheer towards the Ku Klux Klan the next day. While it is no secret that this group has largely attempted to suppress your candidacy due to your faith, how do you want to address their presence? I will not make them an issue this campaign, nor will I dispel any of their attempts to disparage me. I will simply take my campaign to areas more friendly. The Klan can attempt to strike me down, but I will remain hard at work campaigning in the South. The Klan are a fine group of men who simply want to defend Dixie's reign. No, let's not go with that. Herbert Hoover's attempts to accrue their support have been repugnant. I will not stand for these attacks on my name and an entire group of people, nor will I stand for my opposition throwing away morality for political points. Let's go with that one. Northerners are taken aback by the allegations, but upon further research, newspapers find these rumors to be true. Oh, there we go. That helped us out. One of your great weaknesses is your links to Tammany Hall, the organization with heavy ties to the New York Democratic Party. How will you defend yourself from these attacks? Using Tammany Hall's power as a conduit for more progressive legislation, I have done much for the state since the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory incident. It was necessary, and I have helped to make the state more safe for workers. I have led a capable reformist administration in New York. Despite these concerns, I have administered the state effectively and have worked to reduce corruption within. I'm critical of corruption with my state's party apparatus and have worked to alleviate this. Republicans, on the other hand, were responsible for the Teapot Dome scandal. Who do you trust more? There won't be any winning here if I mention Tammany. I'll simply move on from the topic and convince voters of my background and record. Let's attack the Teapot Dome. The tarnished reputation of Harding's presidency in this crisis shocked many. As Hoover was a member of his cabinet, any amount of criticism blown that way will be helpful, even if Hoover himself was not involved. Okay, we just made this a little bit more interesting. Okay, let's see. Since the end of the Great War, foreign policy has become a minor but consistent topic that presidents must consider. What is your viewpoint on our foreign policy? Okay. We must see Wilson's project through. The nation should not outright join the League of Nations, but a position as an observer state would suffice. We should work to secure allies overseas, but remain committed to keeping largely isolated. This will allow us to continue defending democracy without harming our fortunes. A move towards splendid isolationism will bring us more prosperity. Continuing our position now, negotiating trade from a position of strength while keeping out of armed conflict. I mean, we will have to do something to win back the progressives in the party. So, honestly, maybe a moderation of Wilson's proposal could work. I think this could be a strong one. Let's go with this. Okay. Your position in the party hails closer to the Wilson wing, but nonetheless your position is tenuous outside of the urban base. Okay. Due to your deficit in the polls, advisors believe a speaking tour would benefit your campaign. Where do you want to visit today? I am the governor of New York, and I will act like it. A speech in the city to rile up the state will suffice. We've got a pretty decent lead in New York, so I think that would just be wasting time. Connecticut and Rhode Island are two small but important states. If haste be made, I can visit both. Connecticut and Rhode Island. That's 7, and we could flip it. We're winning Rhode Island. Connecticut could be a good one to get us a few extra ones. West Virginia is moving away from being a Republican stronghold. I must spend time to take the state for our party's future. I don't think we have really any kind of chance in West Virginia. Tennessee should never be closed for a Democratic candidate. I will do everything in my power to keep their tradition alive. Yeah, let's go to Tennessee. We can maybe flip a few other southern states. Tennessee Democrats are not particularly open to you, but any amount of help will be appreciated. And that hurt us some. Okay, let's go to Florida. Some political experts believe there may be an increased turnout of women in this election, with the New York Times claiming this year the President of the United States will probably be chosen by women. Many women are entering the electorate due to your candidacy, both to support and oppose you. What does your campaign think about this? Whether or not we agree with whom they're voting for is always a great thing for our nation when more people have access to the polls. Democrats have long supported the plight of women since the late William Jennings Bryan. We welcome these women to voice their opinions and wholeheartedly support their efforts. Women have concerns over home issues, which we should emphasize our support for welfare programs and antitrust laws to build more economically stable households. Women are most anxious about their children. I support the creation of child care centers, increasing access to education, and addressing the high mortality rates of infants. Let's go with the William Jennings Bryan answer. This is a serviceable response that will allow you to gain much support from those wavering, especially in the western states where women voters are the strongest. Ruth Bryan Owen, the daughter of the late William, is currently running for Congress in Florida and has spoken out in support of your stance. Okay. And we got Illinois, which is a pretty big prize. The Ku Klux Klan, experiencing a resurgence in the late 1910s, is still an issue within the South. Lynchings are frequent, and Southern law is all but against the rights for African Americans that were enshrined in the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. How do you address this? We give scarce mention of the importance of treating all Americans equally as ordained by the Constitution. Hopefully this won't infuriate the South too much. I won't be touching the Klan issue. Instead, I'll talk about the importance of preserving states' rights and preventing the federal government from encroaching on our liberties. Angering the South and causing a potential breakaway candidacy would wreak havoc on our own campaign and make winning impossible. I won't address the Klan at all in my speeches. Don't rock the boat. The Tulsa riots from nearly a decade ago are still fresh in my mind. How far gone are we as a nation where we can't treat all of God's children equally? I support equality as expressed under the Constitution and its amendments, and we will work to pass anti-lynching laws. Let's go with this top answer. Luckily, the South doesn't vote for me, but a few Southern leaders look at you with suspicious eyes. Immigrants especially take note of your stance on equality under the Constitution and are swayed towards you. Okay. Tennessee. An intriguing factor of your candidacy is your roots as an urban Northern Democrat. Your party is a contrast from the Democratic establishment, and many within this wing are hopeful in the direction that you can take the party, how you emphasize your ideas. The future of our party the future of our country is in the growth of our cities. The lower classes and their prosperities need to be invested in these areas, and my time as governor has shown its success. What will not help is Hoover's individualist attitude. The urban Democrat tradition holds in our roots as immigrants, whether from Germany, Italy, or Ireland, or anywhere else. We are a diverse range of people who have been ignored by the Republicans, and it's time that changes. We are a nation with groups that have different traditions from the others. Prohibition only suppresses these traditions and prevents us from being free. Our cities and the rising crime in areas like New York only vindicate this. Our cities have the largest range of belief. Lutheran, Presbyterian, Catholic, it doesn't matter. We are a nation of brothers and sisters, and we must recognize that. Let's go with the future of our countries and the growth of our cities. This angle plays well with your base, as well as gaining the support of your likely successor in Albany, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Perhaps you can help him build this new base for future successes. Okay. Many within the party have called attention to Hoover's lack of ties to the Republican Party. Is this a topic of exploitation for your campaign? His chameleonic nature is concerning. If he can so readily be called either a Republican or Democrat, who knows what his rule could be like? We have a certain way of doing things we know. While Hoover tries to find who and where he is politically, we will be the safe option. Similarities between our platforms is stark. Calling attention to that could depress turnout with hardliners. There is nothing to work with here. Instead, I will continue to distinguish myself from him and point to my stance on prohibition. Let's say will be the safe option. You can make a lot of people think twice with this idea and completely steal the win from Hoover on the economic stability argument. Just be careful, as hopes are high at the time. Okay, that took some away from us. With the Washington Naval Treaty around 5 years old, there are some concerns by the signatories about certain definitions and terms in the treaty. What are your thoughts about the Washington Naval Treaty? And is a superseding treaty something you shall consider? Okay. Relieving the brewing storm clouds will be of great assistance. We cannot afford to watch as democracy falls across the pond. It was an unnecessary restriction. I'll certainly look into the concerns of Japan so that any successor treaty is able to be respected and enforced by all sides. A new naval treaty could suffice in ensuring stability. We must take into account the changing landscape of not only these technologies, but also the changing politics in other areas. I'll look into the concerns of Japan. A very statesmanlike answer, and one that boosts your credentials internationally. A new naval treaty could be a big headline during your administration. Okay. Hoover's surrogates have thus far been successful in promulgating the most politically damaging parts of your candidacy with nary a peep from the man himself. How do you attempt to defend yourself from the slander? I'll make my case directly to fellow Democrats who remain at odds with me. Their attempts at dividing our party only serve to cement Republican dominance for the next decade. Must I make it clear once again, I am no liege to Rome. My stance against the Volstead Act and Prohibition does not come from a moralist idea. My concern is merely to do with petite crime and the rise of organized gangs. The attempt to denigrate my name are reprehensible. I am not any of the things that Republicans and dissident Democrats claim me to be. Let's make the case directly to Democrats. Some appreciate your attempts to reach out, but your greatest opponents, such as Governor Moody of Texas, remain firmly opposed. Okay, let's go to Texas. Let's be frank, Al. Given the economic prosperity of the last few years, what is the economic outlook that you personally see? Will these roaring 20s continue into the next decade? Okay. I shall see our prosperity continue. I am confident in that. If we continue our tight monetary policy, this prosperity may not come to pass for much longer. Growth will only continue if we prune the dying branches. We need to confine our businesses lest they go astray. To truly achieve prosperity, we must invest in the needy. As much as the middle and upper classes have prospered, many remain indignant. Okay, we're going to go with that last one. One thing many have overlooked is how much technology has fueled the 20s. Some may say without such innovation, many would realize that they are making less than they did the decade before. Okay, before you make your way back home to New York, your campaign managers are asking you to take a tour of a few states. Where would you like to go? Connecticut and Rhode Island require our attention. Okay, Connecticut, Rhode Island. It's not enough electoral votes to flip Connecticut. I mean, we're not going to have a shot anyway, so. Washington, Montana, and Utah. Washington, nope. Montana, Utah, I mean, maybe. Illinois. Border states. West Virginia, Maryland, Delaware. West Virginia, Maryland. Illinois. I guess we're going to Illinois. It's a big electoral prize and one as necessary as your home state to win. Oh, man. Okay, this is going to be a close one. Okay. Yeah, this ain't going to be a close one, by the way. I was joking. As you return to your home in New York, advisors believe that you should take extra advantage of the radio in order to make a final speech. Unlike normal stump speeches, these radio addresses must be catered to a broad audience. What will this speech be about? One final bout on the future. Even if I lose, our party remains strong for the future. I'll make a non-political radio broadcast encouraging all Americans to go and vote and thanking the American people for allowing me the honor of this campaign, regardless of the outcome. We will get our surrogates to repeat the speeches from the Democratic National Convention. We will use this to unify the party and our nation. Let's go with that one. That seems like a good one. The message drives Democratic turnout in the final stretch. You watch the returns come in from the executive mansion. Best of luck, Mr. Smith. Election night has arrived. Settle in and wait for the returns, however long it may take. Best of luck. Okay, so I think we probably lost this, right? That's safe to assume that we lost this unless something changes right here. So I know, have you guys actually tried to do this one? Have you tried to win 1928? And if you have won 1928 as Al Smith, please leave a comment. I would really like to know. Okay, that's concerning. Why don't we have Alabama? Sorry you have lost the election this time. Click OK to view the rest of the returns or skip straight to the final results. We hope you have a nice concession speech prepared. Well, let's just see how it goes. Right, I would like to know because I hope we get some of the... we lost Florida. Okay. We lost Florida and Tennessee. Good grief. Maybe we'll get Texas? Come on, Texas. Fingers crossed on Texas. We lost Texas. Really? Utah's the last one? We probably lost Utah. Why is it... there we go. Yep, we lost Utah. Sorry, you've lost the 1928 election. This was to be expected, as many personal factors from Hoover's reputation to your very religious denomination, as the economy had created an environment where a win from you was untenable. Nevertheless, you had put up a better fight than was anticipated by party leaders. Perhaps your wing of the party has power in the future. After all, your protege, Franklin Roosevelt, fits the ticket well. Or perhaps a more classical Southern candidate, such as Cordell Hull, could be the nominee. Perhaps it could even be your old rival, William Gibbs McAdoo. Perhaps even you could be the nominee in 1932. In any case, enjoy New York City. Rumors are that Empire State Inc. may need its own president soon. So, yeah, we got 156 electoral votes. Which I believe actually means we did a whole lot better. I believe we got somewhere around... I believe we got slightly over 100 more votes in this game than in real life. But yeah, if you guys have any ideas on how I could actually win this, leave them in the comments, and I will do another video coming back to this one, where I will be going from your suggestions. If you guys come up with good strategies, I'll try them out, see if I can get a victory that way. But that's it for this video. Like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.